Hey guys, since this week is the week that the Spider-Man movie comes out, I thought it'd be pretty cool to check out film theories episodes on Spider-Man. At least until I go see the movie. So I might not go see the movie until probably, let's see, it comes out on the 31st. I might be able to see an early access screening on the 30th. So Monday and Wednesday are gonna be Spider-Man Prep Day, as I like to call them. This first video is this first video is gonna be a film theory episode. So shout out to the shout out to the theorist team. I don't know if I forgot to say that when I watched their video the last time. Is this the one? What happened? No. Accidentally hit an ad. Here we go.
Whoa, what's that? I just built a budgeting app in Base 44. Guys, Nina just built an app.
Impossible. I can't code. Interesting. Can you generate reports?
I can now.
Nice. So you're saying we can all build apps
So
now?
yeah, on Monday and Wednesday,
I'm on lunch.
I gotta
make
Spider-Man
Just built an
videos.
inventory tracker. Protein calculator. What's there an app? A workflow manager. That's
Tracks who still owes for the group.
Spider-Man Brand New Day sees Peter Parker continue to mutate, furthering his spider-based powers. In a lot of ways, it's a huge power spike for the webhead. But if he keeps evolving like this, if he keeps mutating, the reality would turn him into his own worst nightmare. Hello, Internet! Welcome to Film Theory, the show that knows that with great power comes great responsibility. To click that subscribe button. It's no secret that the MCU has been in a rough spot the last few years, even with genuinely good films like Thunderbolts and Fantastic Four holding down the fort. But for this year, Marvel's pulling out the big guns to right the ship, with Avengers Doomsday co-starring the X-Men and Fantastic Four launching later this year, and Spider-Man Brand New Day just hitting theaters. That's like all of their big names all at once. It's crazy. Anyway, Brand New Day returns Peter Parker to where he really thrives, the streets of New York. He doesn't have any fancy Stark tech or the backing of Earth's mightiest heroes. He's just a spider guy trying to do the best he spider can. And that's a direction I can get behind. Fun fact, but the story is taking inspiration from two plot lines in the comics. The first is called, well, Brand New Day, which features Spider-Man making a literal deal with the devil to bring Aunt May back to life and erase everyone's memory of his secret identity, but sacrificing his marriage to Mary Jane Watson in the process. Yes, really, comics are weird. And while this brand new movie seems to share some elements with that comic storyline, it shares more with a different arc called The Other. Here, the webhead neglects his spider sona for too long, causing him to fall gravely ill, but enhancing his spider abilities. He becomes faster, stronger, has a better spidey sense, and is given the ability to make organic webbing instead of relying on mechanical web shooters. And, well, just take a look at what we see about the new movie. Peter starts going through a metamorphosis.
It's probably spider puberty.
Yeah, I like that. It's
I like
spider puberty, where he's suddenly getting way more spider abilities.
Organic webs, heightened senses, increased agility.
More or less, Peter's becoming more like a spider, for as terrifying as that sounds. And if that doesn't scare you, well, it should. Not only because spiders are, well, they're just icky, but because the abilities Peter could get would be, well, horrifying. So today, I have a theory in two parts. Firstly, if we took the premise of this movie to the logical extreme, what would Spider-Man actually look like, and what powers would he have if he mutated into a real Spider-Man? And secondly, and perhaps more importantly, why is this happening to Spider-Man? Like, why now? Is there something going on in-universe that is completely changing the webhead? Or perhaps, even worse, are there corporate shenanigans afoot? And how is that going to change Spidey for better and for worse? Put on your mask and flip into the streets, loyal theorists. This one's getting weird. Now, the idea for Spider-Man to evolve and continue to get new powers has been around, like, forever. Even beyond the storylines we mentioned earlier. And those stories often focus on the balance between the spider and the man. For example, Peter grew 4 more arms in Spider-Man number 100, giving him 8 limbs like a spider and kicking off the 6-arm saga. He ended up getting cured thanks to the blood of a brand new character named Morbius. So at least he was good for something. Intriguing. Then there was the Man-Spider storyline, where Peter Parker literally turns into a Spider-Man, famously adapted in the 90s Spider-Man cartoon. Here, Spider-Man's powers change, he consults a scientist about it, continues to evolve, the Punisher shows up, and he eventually learns to control his new powers, and wait, all that sounds awfully familiar, doesn't it? Yeah, it's basically beat for beat what we're seeing in Brand New Day, and these movies don't do half measures. So what would it look like if this was taken to the logical extreme? Well, firstly, to get an idea of what his powers would look like, let's look at the powers he already has and how they map onto real-world spiders. For example, Peter has enhanced strength. He can jump really high, and he can stick to walls, all of which are based on things that real spiders can do. I mean, you've seen it before. Spiders can crawl on walls. Jumping spiders can jump with forces up to 173 times their own body weight. So, yeah, high jumping. And on average, spiders can lift or pull things between 10 and 50 times their own body weight, with some species getting up to 170 times their own weight. So, yeah, check for enhanced strength. But did you know that even the iconic spider sense that allows Peter to feel when he's in danger has a real source? See, many spiders have tiny hairs called trichobothria that sense changes in the air currents around them, known to help them react quickly and escape predators or foes. But, as I'm sure you know, Peter isn't the only spider person with abilities, and while many, like Spider-Gwen, have powers very similar to Peter's, others can do more, and you might be surprised to learn what exactly has roots in reality. For example, we have Miles Morales, aka Spider-Man, aka Kid Arachnid, aka Spin? Really? That's a freaking terrible name. Anyway, Miles can produce electric venom blasts and camouflage himself. And, well, some spiders can utilize bioelectricity, charging their webs to draw prey towards them. A little similar to the venom blasts. Likewise, many spiders like Australia's wraparound spider can manipulate their bodies to create camouflage, inspiring Miles' power. And then there's Cindy Moon, aka Silk.
I wanted the word cuppa as in cup of tea. I thought it would be great to mix with punk. When I saw the domain was available, I was like, I'm taking it, I'm trademarking it, I'm going with it. Hi, I'm Aaron, I'm the owner of Cuppa.
Have you never heard of Silk? Well, you will, because she's probably going to be the next playable character in Sony's, PlayStation's, and Insomniac's Marvel's Spider-Man 3. Can't wait to add that one to my physical collection on my shelf, full of physical discs. Anyway, Silk has more nuanced web control thanks to organic webbing that comes out of her fingertips instead of her wrists. Similarly, most spiders can produce 7 different types of silk, and if you combine Cindy and Miles' powers, well, you can get some crazy outcomes. For example, the orb weaver spider can add paralyzing neurotoxins to its webbing, meaning that getting webbed by the webhead would leave you unable to move. And then, let me introduce you to a process called ballooning. No, this is not something you'd find in the darker corners of the internet. Instead, it's when a spider uses nuanced control of their silk and combines it with their bioelectricity. Doing that, some spiders can literally fly through the air. How? Well, this is going to be a super simplified explanation. But first, they test the wind like an old sailor, raising a leg to check on its strength. Then, when the conditions are perfect, the spider releases electrically charged silk into the air, and then they use that web to fly thanks to the stickiness of the air, or the natural electromagnetism that's around all of us. And this isn't like, oh, we're gonna fly to the other side of the room. No, they can maintain their altitude for thousands of miles. Can you imagine getting hit in the face
that's
from a flying
crazy.
spider that was like originally from Africa? Now, just scale that up for our Spider-Man, and oh god, it's
That's crazy,
terrifying.
right?
And if you think this would be a case of him gently floating towards you, well, it might be much faster and more painful than that, thanks to how crazy he'd be able to jump. Yeah, Peter's jumping abilities would actually be even crazier than what he can already do, especially if he developed the powers of a jumping spider. They rely on a biological hydraulic system, where body fluids are put under pressure to launch them upward, versus a human's use of just their muscles. That lets these little guys jump over 30 times their body length. At their size, that translates to just a few inches, but if you scale that up to human size, well, Tom Holland is 5'8", and if you multiply that by 30, you get 170 feet, which is somewhere
That's
between
crazy.
11 and 14 stories high. But if you apply that fluid system to other parts of our Spider-Man, it could make him terrifyingly strong. Now, don't get me wrong, Spider-Man is incredibly strong already. The Tom Holland version of the character was able to stop the Winter Soldier's punch like it was nothing, when other super soldiers like Black Panther and Cap struggled to. And Peter famously holds back his strength in the comics. But add in this hydraulic pressure to those punches, I don't even want to imagine the gory details. Now, you might be thinking, well, hey, would jumping up this high actually hurt Spider-Man? Would it cause him to, like, freeze or something? And yeah, it might be chilly up there, but, well, there's a solution for that too. In fact, this monstrous Spider-Man wouldn't need any fancy Stark tech to stay warm either. Yeah, don't know if you've noticed, but in the winter scenes of this new movie, Spidey is wearing some winter fits, which he didn't need before because Tony put warmers in his previous suits. But some spiders in the real world just don't ever freeze. Meet the Clabonia spider, which is extremely freeze resistant because of natural antifreeze that flows throughout their body. It can stay toasty until minus 30 degrees Celsius or minus 22 degrees Fahrenheit. That's literally deep into a winter polar vortex, more effective than the antifreeze proteins found in fish. So if you were hoping to take a trip to Antarctica to avoid our Spider-Man, well, that won't save you. Now, the idea of a floating or flying Spider-Man crossing oceans on a wet balloon, or jumping and punching hard, or not being able to freeze is one thing. But if Peter became more like a tarantula, he'd become the stuff of true nightmares. Now, you know tarantulas. You've seen them and they probably scare you. But tarantulas are covered in hair that is quite literally built different. Human hair is mostly made from a high-protein substance called keratin. It's actually the same stuff that makes your fingernails. But tarantula hair is made from chitin, a sort of biological armor that I only know how to say thanks to the Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. That already sounds kind of horrifying, a lot of armored hairs just sticking out of you, but they can do even more. See, the bristles can cause both physical and chemical rashes, and if a tarantula is feeling threatened, they can shoot their hairs out like tiny harpoons. A real Spider-Man would have built-in projectiles that would keep him safe from enemies up close and let him attack enemies at a distance. Though it would also make any upside-down kissing a pain in the butt. I'm not gonna lie, all of this so far sounds pretty horrifying and terrible, but maybe Peter wouldn't have to look at himself if he had spider vision? Well, no, not actually. In fact, that would be pretty horrible too. If Peter got any of the traits from the Dinopody or the ogre-faced spider, he'd have night vision, allowing him to hunt you down even in the darkness. But this would also become a nightmare for Peter every time the sun rises. See, because the ogre spider doesn't have irises, or the part of your eye that processes light, their eyeballs are fully destroyed by sunlight every morning. But they also regenerate every nightfall. Just imagine being trapped completely in a cycle where your eyes are burned out of your skull every sunrise, grow back at night, only for the process to start up again the next morning. Just brutal, man. But that regeneration wouldn't just stop at eyes. Other spiders, like the wolf spider, can regrow limbs when they molt. Applying that to our Spider-Man, that means that he'd be able to regrow any arms or legs that got ripped off during a fight. It's not quite Deadpool and Wolverine levels of regrowth, but absolutely wild stuff. And Peter's spider sense and night vision wouldn't be the only senses enhanced by this continued mutation. No, his sense of smell would be upgraded too. Just not through his nose. See, a lot of spiders actually quote-unquote smell through their legs. Yeah, really. Specifically,
What?
they detect pheromones produced by potential mates, something explored in the comics through a short-lived romance between Peter and Cindy Moon. They were attracted to each other's spider pheromones, and it sure was something. Comics are weird.
Comics are
But
weird.
this could be adapted into something more useful or terrifying,
I kinda-
allowing our
I
Spider-Man to
figured he
detect
would talk
organic
about
life
that
around
in
him
his
through
video.
said pheromones. Smell through those 6 arms, of course. So, okay, I'm gonna be real. All of this sounds like a fate worse than death, if you ask me. I hate spiders, so turning into one like this, I just can't. But don't worry, because we've saved the worst for right now, and that would be the milk. Oh God, the
Oh,
milk.
no.
Yeah, milk comes from all sorts of places. Cows, almonds, oats, and spiders. Yes.
What if you could make a song using only your voice? Let's start with the
Spiders do
drums.
milk.
I'm gonna hit drums and click cover. Yeah.
Spiders. Ew. The female Toxius magnus jumping spider makes a milk-like substance with 4 times the protein found in cow milk, essential for the growth of their young. When scientists withheld spider milk like this from baby spiders, their entire brood died within just 11 days. But the grossest part of this? The milk isn't dairy per se. It's thought to be repurposed from unviable eggs. So that means that, ew, a fully mutated Peter Spider-Man would be producing a lot of milk. And if he ever had a kid, that kid would probably need it. Oh, jeez, I just feel bad for Mayday. So, okay, we've taken the idea of Brand New Day to the logical extreme. We have a picture of what Peter could evolve into, and it's absolutely terrifying. But then, that raises another big question. Why? Why is he continuing to evolve in this movie? Like, sure, they're pulling from some comic storylines, but the Six-Armed Saga and the other aren't exactly beloved plot threads. So, what are we doing? What's going on?
Right.
Well, it could all come down to another bit of supervillainy, corporate supervillainy. Here, let me lay down some facts for you. Tom Holland has been Spider-Man for over a decade and has said that he wants to spend his next era in the MCU as a mentor. Similar to what Downey Jr. and Tony Stark did for him as Peter. He wants to help bring in characters like Miles Morales into the fold. Spider-Man has also been a big sign of change for his entire time inside of the MCU. He was a key part of Civil War, which permanently changed the Avengers and led to Infinity War and Endgame. Far From Home acted as an epilogue for the Iron Man-led MCU, while No Way Home was one of the more successful films to explore alternate universes with the Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire Spideys. Stuff that's becoming much more relevant now with Doomsday. And, what's more, it's a pretty open secret that Sadie Sink's character in this new movie is going to be Jean Grey from the X-Men, a group that Spidey frequently teams up with. He even briefly operated as the school's guidance counselor. And here, get this. The creators of the excellent PlayStation Spider-Man games, Insomniac, are currently making a video game adaptation of Wolverine where Jean Grey is the main character. According to leaks from hacked internal documents, their next 2 games are another Spider-Man, a Spider-Man spin-off with Venom, and a full-fledged X-Men game. What's more, Sony Pictures has canceled all of their in-development live-action Spider-Man villain spin-off films after Morbius, Madam Web, and Kraven the Hunter were various levels of disaster. So now they're rethinking their entire strategy and approach to the franchise. And when you lay all of this out like that, it kind of scares me to think about, but if Peter is evolving, mutating even? Is Sony trying to make the MCU Spider-Man a mutant? Are they trying to shove a Spidey-shaped peg through an X-shaped hole, desperately trying to attach their biggest film IP to what they see as the next biggest franchise from Marvel? Well, sadly, I think it makes a lot of sense. The big hurdle would be that Peter isn't actually a mutant, an important part of being an X-Man. See, in the comics, people who gain their abilities after they were born through some accident or cosmic rays or spider bites are called mutates, as opposed to mutants who are born with their abilities. They have a genetic signature inside of their body already that activates their powers. And while I'm not sure Marvel would ever try to change their comic Spidey origin, it's just so iconic, Sony, who are a lot less precious with their characters, I think that they might try it. And it's not like the MCU hasn't frequently changed character statuses for a more cohesive story. For example, both Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch dropped their mutant origins because the X-Men weren't in the MCU at the time. Deadpool is a mutate in the comics, since his powers came from experimentation from the evil Canadian government instead of the X gene. But in the films, he's a mutant, and those experiments activated his latent X gene. And similarly, Miss Marvel was originally an Inhuman in the comics, a story we've talked about before. But in the MCU, they made Miss Marvel a mutant, and later changed her status in the comics to match up. And even if we want to keep our example just to Spider-Man, the whole reason Marvel did that storyline with the other, the one that gave the webhead organic webbing, it was to better match up with the Sam Raimi films. And hell, Marvel might already be on board. The comics division recently announced that they'd be launching a new spin-off universe separate from the main continuity, with horror-inspired takes of their biggest characters, called Midnight Marvel. And this version of Spider-Man, well, just listen to this. Quote, "A young Peter Parker is transformed into a hideous spider hybrid by the ruthless Oscorp Corporation in their pursuit for eternal life. When Oscorp begins to use the secrets unlocked by his mutation to create more human-animal hybrids, Peter embraces his grotesque new form to stop them." Hideous spider hybrid? Mutation? Those are very specific descriptors in Marvel books, my friend, and what they're talking about here sounds exactly like the Spider-Man we created today. If the suits in Hollywood really wanted to force this in, they could just say that the MCU Peter always had unique DNA. He always had the X gene or whatever, and the spider bite activated it. That would classify him as a mutant, connect him with what will probably be the biggest movies for the next 10 years of the MCU, and gives characters like Miles a community if Tom Holland decides to retire. Would it be forced? Yep. Would I hate it? Absolutely. But when has that ever stopped Hollywood before? And really, even if he mutates into a giant six-armed hairy man with bug eyes, that should be Peter Parker's worst nightmare. But hey, that's just a theory. A film theory! And cut! Up next on Film Theory. So, Miguel thinks that Miles is an anomaly in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, pretty good video. I don't know if I like the theories though, cause well, some of the theories were cool, and we already know that he's pretty much mutating. So just to just to see what he like turn, just to see what he like turns into. I just hope he doesn't go that far into it. But hopefully they should just stay close. Hopefully they should just stay close to the comics. But I am still excited for the movie. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next one. And I'm also excited to see where how does this one branch off from how does this one how does this one branch off to Ing- to to Doomsday. So yeah, I'm still excited for this movie, and I will see you guys probably probably Wednesday. We're gonna do another Spider-Man video. See you guys then.